All right, guys, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about things to look out for when you're looking for an offer and appointment setting. Okay, so we have a bunch of lists here, and we're going to go over them today because there's some red flags, there's some green flags, and there's just some things in general that you need to look out for when it comes to finding an offer. And I'm going to go over that today because I went over it today with a student earlier. So if you're gonna find this if you're gonna find this valuable, like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. New slots for the mentorship. The one-on-one mentorship with me is open for February, so link in the description. Book a call. We'll see if you're a good fit, and you can get to work with me one-on-one for 3 months straight. So, anyways, let's get into it. First thing you want to look out for is the offer in the niche. Basically, what is it? Right? It's not necessarily a red or a green flag. There's no right or wrong answer, but you just want to make sure that you know what niche and what offer you're getting into. Just because, let's say it's a niche you don't know much about, then you're gonna have to do a bit more research and get to know about the niche. Let's say it's ecom. Let's say you don't know much about ecom, then you're gonna have to learn the terminology and some certain basics about the niche and how it works, so you can communicate it better to the potential prospects or potential clients. Because if you don't, you're pretending to be the business owner, and if you don't know what you're talking about, it's not going to look good. Okay, so just get an idea on what the offer and niche is. If they haven't disclosed it, just ask. It's simple. The second thing is the commission and pay structure. So what you're looking for is typically anywhere between 3 to 15% or more commission only. So there's a couple of different ways that the pay structure works or commission structure works, right? You can get commission only, you can get commission plus base pay, you can get a pay per qualified appointment attached to that. You can also get bonuses attached to that. Let me add that in. But you don't want, and this is why it's highlighted in red. The only thing you don't want is just a base pay, because appointment setting and high ticket sales is a performance based way of making money. So for you to have a base pay and a base pay only, it just defeats the purpose. Like, you may as well go and get a 9 to 5 job, right? So this is what you're typically looking for, and the ranges are anywhere from 3 to 15% of what the offer price is or the cash collected. So let's say it's a $2,000 product, and you get 10% of that, right? If they close. So that's what you're looking for, okay? And typically, the higher the offer or the more expensive the offer, the lower the percentage is going to be, just so it evens out. And then vice versa, if the offer is pretty on the cheaper end, the percentage will typically be higher, and that's completely fine. All right. So that's commission and pay structure. The next thing you want to look out for is offer price. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, as long as it's high ticket, 1 to 3, like anything above 1K is good to go. And then it's obviously going to be like the higher percentages. But then as you get to the higher numbers, people charging more for their services, it's going to be much lower, but it evens out. Like even 3% on a 4K offer, should it close, that's still going to be pretty good. And it stacks up too. Remember, that's just going for one close. You're going to be booking calls, and then you're just going to keep closing new clients, and it's going to add up. All right. So don't worry about the low percentage. But overprice, it's also something you need to know. The next thing you need to know is lead flow. So this is what people get caught up in a lot, and they think that the platform matters. There's a platform that's better than the other platform, and that's just not the case. Obviously, if you don't know what you're doing on Facebook, for example, but you know what you're doing on Twitter, and yet the business owner is marketing on Facebook, then obviously then Twitter's going to be better, right? But the platform doesn't matter as long as you're just getting a lot of leads, especially high quality leads, and have a system. Whether that's posting reels on Instagram, and then you go ahead and reach out to all the likers, the commenters, the followers. Whether that's on Twitter, you do the same thing. Whether it's cold outreach, whatever it is, as long as there's a system in place and the business owner is getting a ton of leads, you should be good. So one of the things you could ask is, where do you get your lead flow slash how many leads do you get? So that's just going to give you a good idea as to what the lead flow is, because what we're trying to avoid is basically doing the marketing for them and doing, like, it's not, sometimes you just have to, but I highly would avoid just especially if you're seasoned in the game and you've got experience. You should not settle for these positions where you're having to do the cold outreach for the business owner themselves. They should be doing that. That's their job. Their job is to get the leads going. That's not your job. You need to make that distinction. Otherwise, you're just going to be basically like a business partner. It's their responsibility. Your job as a seller is simply to book the meetings and get the lead, make the most out of the lead flow they're getting. It's not your responsibility. Okay, so don't, if you're having to do that, then I kind of see that as a red flag. Okay, if you're just a setter. Second thing, or the next thing, is offer results. So this is a, I'd say it's pretty important as well. But the reason why I say this is, let's say they have good testimonials, good feedback, good case studies. It's just their clients are happy all around, happy and fulfilled all the time, and they're fulfilling all their promises. That's only going to help with your conviction. It's only going to help when you're in the DMs with the prospect or calling them if you're on a calling offer, and you have that extra conviction because you know for a fact that what you sell helps. It's not some snake oil. It's not like the 90s. It's not like the 80s where you're selling snake oil. You're selling some scam. You're selling something that genuinely changes people's lives, and that's only going to help everyone. It's a win-win for everyone, and the more you see of this from the business owner and from their business, it's only going to help, right? It's going to add that conviction, and conviction is almost, if not everything, when it comes to selling something or doing a high ticket appointment setting. Okay, so offer results, make sure they're down pat and they're all good. Next thing is you're gonna ask how many setters slash what's the experience with their setters in the past, because that can kind of give away a couple things. So if they have many setters on the team right now, just know that the system that they're going to be operating under, when it comes to like setter management, it's going to be different compared to if you were the only setter. I wouldn't say having many setters is wrong, and then you being the only one is right. But they're just gonna have to know what they're doing. The business owner just has to know what they're doing when it comes to managing a bunch of setters under themselves. Okay. But if you're the only setter, it makes things very simple. Okay. So it's just good to know how many setters are on the team, and then obviously they need a system to know. Like let's say a new client is closed, they're gonna need to know, okay, who did that come from? Was it you? Was it another guy or another girl? Experience with setters in the past, that's also good to know. So, for example, if they ran through a lot of setters and they put the blame on them, let's say it was the setter's fault. Okay, fair enough. Then they're just not good at hiring talent, and they just maybe they just had a bad experience with setters. But let's say they explain to you the experience with the setters in the past, and you get the idea that it was kind of their fault. Like for example, we were making our old setters do cold outreach, and they didn't do enough. Then that's, again, as I said, it's not the setter's responsibility to generate leads for them. It's the business owner's responsibility. All right, the setter just has to milk the cow when it comes to the lead flow. Okay, take care of them. So, what is the experience with setters in the past? And then one of the questions you could ask in your interview too, which I told one of my clients because he was having an interview, is he basically, long story short, one of the business owners he was talking to said he had a setter in the past. He was great, but it didn't work out. He asked in the interview why it didn't work out, just so he can avoid making the same mistakes. That's also why you want to ask, how's the experience been with setters in the past working with them? Okay. Next thing, is there training included or is there no training included? Now, if there's training included, it's a good sign. Even if it's super, super basic, at least there's training included. I find if there's no training included, unless they know and everyone knows, all parties know that the setter's experience, they know what they're doing, and they're just basically coming from the angle that the setter knows exactly what they're doing, and then they just need to handle the leads. It's usually a bit of a red flag if they don't have training, right? Because if you think about it, if you're the business owner, you are incentivized obviously to sign more clients, make more money. So you're also incentivized to make sure that the person handling those type of people are good at what they do. Okay, so you're gonna have training, you're gonna give scripts, you're gonna give basic resources, even if it's basic, right? But it's all about the intention here. If you have training, that shows that you want the best for your student. Oh, yeah, you want the best for your setters, the people that work for you, and then therefore that also shows me that you have your head screwed on and you want to make more money too, because you have training, which is going to help them make more money for you and everyone, right? So if they have training, it's a good sign. If not, kind of be wary. But other than that, it's not the biggest red flag, in my opinion, because you can always learn from someone like me. Now, the last thing before we wrap up is there an option to move up to a closer role? It's much easier if hiring closers in house. So this only goes for if you want to become a closer, if this is something you want to do after setting, which I imagine most of you guys want to do. So what you could ask is, and you can see if there's an option, if there's a route to closing, if possible, in the company, because it's way easier for you to become a closer and just get promoted from a setter, especially if you've been putting in the work and giving good results, signing more clients, etc., and you're good at what you do, it's a no-brainer, right? They'll give you a shot. They'll give you the first few calls if you want to become a closer for them, and then eventually you can become a full-time closer for the same company that you work for. It's much easier than having to go out, find a new company, having to send a new application, having to do a new interview, go through new training, and get to know the new team. That's much harder. It's high resistance. All right. So if you want to get into closing, if there's an option to move up to a closer role, that's also worth knowing. Okay. So just a quick video today. I hope it makes sense, and I hope this helps you give a lot of hopes. I hope it gave you a lot of clarity. All right. So these are just a couple things you want to look out for when it comes to looking for a setter role. And yeah, let me know how it goes. Comment your experience, and if you have anything else you wanna add in that I missed out. Again, like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel. One-on-one mentorship slots. All this will get taken care of once I work with you and we start crushing it together and I guide you the way. But apart from that, link is in the description if you're interested. And I hope this video helped a lot. I'll see you in the next one.